The cornerstone of broadcasting in the UK is, of course, the BBC. But the corporation has gone off the rails a bit in the last few years. Its biggest ever money spinner, Top Gear, well, ever since they lost the holy trinity of Clarkson, Hammond and May, that's been shite. And even favourites like Doctor Who, well, that's no longer a fun sci-fi show for all the family. That's now the mouthpiece of the extreme left. And if you watch Doctor Who and refuse to acknowledge that you may be a pansexual, biracial unicorn, then you're a fascist. But one thing that the Beeb has always done well is education. Up until now. Because the BBC has commissioned a number of short films to be shown in schools. And bear in mind, if you're a licence fee payer, this is where your bloody money is going. These films are there to explain to children that there are over 100 different gender identities. Let's just break this down. As far as gender goes, if you're shopping for clothes, there's two. Female and male. For me, I'll acknowledge that there are four. Male, female, trans male and trans female. And the reason I keep trans separate is because if you transition, you will still have different plumbing. A woman who's transitioned to be a man is different to me, a cisgendered male. Actually, fuck it. This whole cisgendered thing is getting on my wick. Cisgendered means you identify with the sex you were born as. That's the vast majority of people. I don't have the time to keep explaining I identify as a man. For God's sake, I'm a straight white guy. If the internet is to be believed, I'm far too fucking busy oppressing women and ethnic minorities. In fact, there was an American doctor posted something on Twitter to that effect, that trans women and biologically born women are different, and she got a tirade of abuse, although the article it was linked to was explaining the sex you're born as will mean you have different symptoms if you're going to have a bloody heart attack. What a monster trying to put out life-saving information. But I've had a read through some of these 100 plus gender identities, and there are some I've seen before, like gender fluid. If you've not heard of that one, gender fluid means you identify as male and female to a greater or lesser extent, and you can change this throughout the day, minute to minute. If anyone disagrees with you, you wave your victim card about and run around screaming. But it goes up to here's this, right? For a gender identity. Spirit animal. Is this going to be confusing for kids? Because children like to pretend to be animals. Some adults do, but usually for different reasons. But imagine you see a little kid playing and go, oh, you pretending to be a polar bear? Well, from now on, you can say you are a polar bear, and anyone who disagrees with you is oppressing you. It doesn't end there, though. I was watching an interview on TV with a British couple who are raising their baby as gender neutral. Now, I've heard of this before, but I've not seen Brits doing it. Because their 17-month-old baby, for whom they've told no one what sex this child is, they've called it a noosh. A noosh, poor little bastard. And they want it to be raised without unconscious gender biases. Now, if I tell you the names of the parents, this might explain it a bit more. The father is called Jake, and the mother is called Hobbit. Fucking Hobbit. Now, one of two things has happened here. Either her parents have called her that as a baby, which would explain a lot. Or what I suspect has happened is she's called herself Hobbit because that's gender neutral and she wishes to inflict the same misery upon her offspring. Another thing from watching this interview, it's quite clear. The only time she's the one getting penetrated in the bedroom was when they were getting pregnant. The rest of the time it's clear who wears the strap on in that relationship. So this kid doesn't have a gender identity, it's genderless. But what's the fucking harm of knowing what you are? I've always known that I'm male, and when I was a young lad, my main interests were toy cars and biscuits. And now I'm 41 years old, and my main interests are cars and biscuits. And this idea that bringing up a child to be genderless will make them more free and more free-thinking and wonderful, it might do, or you might fuck them up so much that that's the type of kid that walks into high school one day with a fucking assault rifle. I'm sorry if anything I've said there has offended you. It's just my gender identity is of a cynical, middle-aged man who relies on facts and figures and not whatever fucking fairy dust can be thought up on the internet.